Hey guys, welcome back to that podcast. We are here with your gracious hosts, Edward, Macy, David, myself. Not 4, 3. I said myself twice. Don't worry about it.
There you go, count it.
This episode, we're going to be talking about the hardest part about relationships. That is my topic. I'm starting you off. Boom. What is the hardest part about a relationship?
Stop. So, David's topic, yes. And then we're going to go into caring about social media, which I'm pretty sure none of us give a fuck about. And then Macy has a topic about gaydism. All right, David, you can start now.
All right. Hardest part about a relationship. Once again, for the third time. I mean, what? The hardest part about a relationship is probably, from being friends to actually getting into the relationship. That
All right,
little
stop.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Just so the audience is aware, we did 2 takes for this, and David just kept fucking derailing us. So we're gonna try to stick to the subject at hand. And no, we're not gonna release any of those videos. So fuck any of you who want to see it. Thank you. All right, David, continue.
What the fuck was I saying?
You were saying what the hardest part of a relationship.
Oh, yeah. Also, for the audience, just in case, I'm currently eating apples. So if I do sound a little muffled or weird, that is why I'm hungry.
Smacks his big fucking
Go fuck
lips.
yourself.
It's because he's eating some fucking apples.
Yep. Like a horse. Anyway. So, hardest part about a relationship is the friend zone. Starting off as friends and getting into the relationship, that middle ground where you don't know if you should be more I guess aggressive about it, like maybe talk to her more, not being afraid to double text, blah blah blah, to the point where, oh, is this a good part to date? Like, are we good friends now where I could say, do you want to date? It's a very scary zone to be in because you don't want to fuck it up. But you also don't want to be held back.
What perspective are you speaking about from the friend zone? Because let's just say if you have a partner that friend zones you, or not even a fucking partner, like someone you like that friend zones you, you're not thinking about, damn, I want to be in this relationship, but I don't want to fuck it up. No, that wouldn't really be a friend zone at that point, would it?
I don't think
before you are in a relationship, when you are friends, that little zone, which I miscalled the friend zone, that zone of atrociousness, disgustingness,
Vile.
where you are just the marquise. Okay,
the feeling where you feel like you want to bang this person but you can't.
There we go. Yes, literally. That is the scariest part, because if you're just like, oh, I like you, are we good enough friends to say that? Have I known you long enough? How do you feel?
I just randomly thought about, I like you and I want you.
Oh my, that is disgusting. I want to be away from that as far as possible, because that shit was disgusting. I don't know how they allowed that on TV.
Yeah, David is our PC person, for anybody who's aware. David is the most politically correct person I know. In fact, I heard him use the N-word appropriately the other day, so just so everyone's aware. This guy is white as snow. But no, the hardest part of a relationship ain't no damn friend zone. Fuck out of here. Hardest part about a relationship is like being in the relationship. And a lot of people are probably going to be like, oh, once you actually get into the relationship, the routine of things, it's very easy. But there's always new things testing you every single day. And social media being a part of it has kind of fucked people's perception of what it means to be loyal, to be honest, especially with how hookup culture is a thing now. And I've said it already before, but chasing that kind of high that the honeymoon phase gives you versus if you're not even in the relationship before and you just don't have the balls to go talk to this person that you like, which, at the end of the day is the advice that somebody like me would give to you. If you like somebody, just go talk to them, see how the vibe is. If they don't like who you are inside, then it's not meant to be. You feel what I'm saying? You dig? So boom. All right, new topic.
There we go. Any 2 cents on that, Macy? Or
yeah, Macy.
I mean, I can't really relate as much, I guess, to like what Eddie brought up. I just don't experience that. But I also have like a very different social media, so that part doesn't like. I don't experience that component because my social media is just like dumb shit. But I don't know. Something that you mentioned was like people say like, oh, once you get into the routine, it's very easy. But I feel like that's probably the hardest part, is like once you're in that routine, it's very difficult to make things like exciting. And then at the same time, the other thing that I thought when you guys were talking about it that I wanted to say was like, yeah, it may feel like that getting into a relationship is the hardest part as opposed to being in the relationship. But time wise, like depending on the length of your relationships, it's going to change, obviously, you know. If you spend all of your time trying to get into the relationships,
David, I swear. I mean, at that point, that's what you should be doing for a new relationship you have. That's how you almost get 100% guarantee that they're going to be your partner. You're thick and thin. That also brings up like Stockholm syndrome as well. If you kidnap somebody and you make it think that that's their way of life, it is going to become their way of life. Which, not that we condone Stockholm syndrome, of course not. I know David does, but we don't.
What?
For like my final point, I guess, or my note, it's like for a romantic relationship, I do think like the most difficult part, just on a long-term scale, I suppose, because that's what I'm most like. Obviously, we've been together for a very long time, so like that's how I perceive those kinds of relationships at this point, is like keeping it exciting, so to speak, and like trying to make things not mundane when they become so regular. But relating to what you say is the most difficult thing, David, where it's like trying to like kind of gauge how to proceed. Yep. I feel like I experienced that a lot more with like friendships, and I don't know if that's because I have social anxiety or what, but like just like trying to be friends with somebody, I'm like, oh, I don't want to double text them. I don't want to be too much. Did I text them like already today? Or like if I see something, I'm like, should I send this to them like in 3 days and pretend I just saw it in 3 days? Like, how much can I share about myself? How much should I ask them about themselves?
Yep.
So it's not just romantic relationships, because I'm going through that right now, where it's like I'm trying to be friends with some of these people that I've met at work that I would really love to be good friends with, but I feel like I'm overbearing and I can't tell where the line is, and I don't want to like be weird. So yeah, it's not just romantic.
That's definitely more tragic. For me, it's only romantic. Like if I meet someone, I don't give a fuck how they feel. I just text them. But when it's a girl, I gotta be careful as shit, because if I fuck it up, I'm gonna be sad.
Well, I mean, friendships are a form of relationships, which we'll talk about in a second. But David, the fact that you bring up this topic makes me wonder, like, do you have somebody that you're currently trying to pursue or something?
Okay, anyway, yes. So
you do? What?
Third time talking about this weird.
What? What do you mean third time? It's the first time we talked about this, my brother.
There is a girl. Not gonna name drop. Not gonna bring up whatever.
Wait, what's their name?
What? There's a girl at my gym. That's all I will say. And I've been, seeing her around for like a month or two, and then my friend finally helped me talk to her. She dragged me over there, and I talked to the girl that I like. We talked. We found out we have a lot in common, and I got her Instagram. She seems to be a very busy person. She's really not good at texting back. It's better to talk to her in person. The vibes are good in person, but I feel like today, for example, I feel like I stayed too long. Maybe I should have left a little bit sooner.
David,
yes?
Before you continue, because I want to kind of bring it up, you mentioned getting her Instagram, and I know that sort of like social media now, at least with their perception of how, like, whenever you ask out a girl, apparently her giving out her number, for example, like her phone number, is something entirely different than if a girl gave out like her Instagram, which I don't know why there's such a difference between the two. To me, that sounds very dumb. But apparently that's one way to gauge whether or not a girl actually likes you or not.
So from my understanding, which could be wrong, giving out your social media before your number is a safer way of things, because it's like following, and then you could block them. Which I guess you can still, I guess
you're giving up more by giving up your Insta, because you post shit. Like, all you're giving up with your phone number is your area code, but like clearly that's not changing anything.
Well, I mean,
from what I've heard,
you can search up phone numbers like online and find these websites. I'm not gonna name websites, but you can find more information through a phone number. I'd like to believe than you can through like an Instagram handle.
Perhaps.
I feel like personally, like the association that I kind of take from like you give people your social media first and just as like a ranking. I feel like it's like you give out an Insta and then Snapchat because it's more personal and then phone number. But it's like I always just kind of assumed it's like your family contacts you through your phone number versus like I talk to my friends on Snapchat and I talk to people that I don't know as well that like I just am mutually following with on Instagram, but like I don't trust them with my story. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I just assume it's like there's levels of like there's just certain groups that tend to flock to a certain social media, and it's like I don't know. That's my interpretation of it.
Okay, so then here's a question to the both of you, for my own, mind. Do you think it's a good thing that she gave me her Insta over her phone number or not?
Well, there's also the argument, because I wanted to bring it up as well, that Macy mentioned Snapchat, is that there does seem to be like an importance. I know people, for some people, the Snapchat or their Snapchat will usually be something that they provide last for some reason. Like that's something that to them is important, like more important than handing out a phone number, which, obviously it's different for a lot of people. Maybe they'll provide their Snapchat first versus like a phone number. But for Snap, I feel like people mainly use that for sort of like an actual here, let's have a personal relationship rather, than just, well, here's this, let's occasionally talk on it, But I didn't bring this up to make you overthink, but if you think that she's the kind of girl from how far you've known her, which I think you mentioned it was like a month or two, if that's something that you think she's the type of person to actually consider, you might want to be a little cautious about it, because that might be like an attitude that you're not, well, I don't know if you've met somebody like that before, but if it's not an attitude that you've met before, then it might be a new personality for you to get used to.
I don't think her starting with her Instagram was a bad thing though.
I don't know, because I'm one of her coworkers is in my class on Mondays. I had the idea of talking to him because, okay, so the person that helped me talk to her literally told her friends that I liked her, and those friends are her friends. So she put me on blast, and then she helped me out.
Mm.
The guy in my class wasn't there. And in my mind, if I get his help, maybe he might help me out by talking to her and maybe putting in a good word.
Hold on. What do you mean by put you on blast?
Like, so I guess I'm gonna have to get personal.
Well, try to keep it like vague. Don't like say names, but keep it just
of course
vague and specific. If that makes sense.
The assistant manager at my gym is a friend of mine, or an acquaintance. We're becoming friends, but she's leaving, sadly. I brought up to paint the story. Who is going to be the new assistant manager since you're leaving? Is it going to be this girl? I didn't know her name. I never asked because we never really talked that much. Whenever we did talk, I pretended to know her name because I think she gave it to me once, but I forgot. She said, "Oh, her? Why? Do you like her?" And I said, "Yes." Stupidly. And she said, "Wait, really?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
God
and
damn. Wait,
she
really?
then like she was happy about it. Like she was like making weird noises, like if we were in high school again. And then like she was like being like, "Ooh," like
Oh, they meant like weird noises, like she was like spastic or something.
Okay.
Language as
and the two coworkers of hers, the guys, were right next to her, and then she literally like tapped them both, and she was like, "Oh, he likes her," blah blah blah. And I'm just like, bruh.
It's a very like childish reaction. But I mean, it could be light humor for young adults.
Yeah, no. And then she came up with me and said, "Oh, I'm taking you to her." I'm like, "What?" And then we went over there. I talked to her, and we found out we had a lot in common. The three of us, the assistant manager, me, and the girl I like. And then the assistant manager left, so that only her and I were talking, and we were talking for like a good 5 minutes. And then I said, "Oh, I have to start working out, and I have your phone number or your Insta, because I'd like to keep talking to you." And then she said, "Oh, sure." And I said, "Which one's best for you?" She said, "Insta." I said, "Okay." And then I got her Insta. I said I'll text you later, and I texted her. It took her like 12 hours to respond.
God damn. Well, how many Insta followers?
Like 93.
Okay, because that could also play a factor into whether. Well, again, she might have like an alt account as well that you don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, I tend not to think about that because then I go into one hole.
Thing, right? Like she gave you the alt account with less people because she wants to be more personable and not use her like big.
I don't know. I try not to think about it because that's a
that's like a hypothetical anyway.
But what gave me hope after like the 12 hours, I'm like, oh, she's definitely not interested. She messaged me 6 times. And then
separately or like
in like a gun, like a shotgun. Like
okay.
reverse.
So just like how she types, I assume it's like she's finished the thought, next thought.
Usually, if you're not interested, you only have like one line or whatever.
Well, I mean, it could also be her giving you the interpretation that she appears to be. It's your perception that she appears to be like interested in you, because there's some girls as well that like the chase from men, knowing that they are desired.
I mean, do you think that she heard them talking about you liking her, or like was it across the room?
She was in a whole different room.
Okay, and I just want to say this again, like, not to make you overthink, because I'm pretty sure, you know, us talking about all these quote unquote cons is probably, you know, making you overthink whether you want to admit it or not, which, you know, again brings us back to the topic about the hardest part of a relationship, which overthinking is definitely one of them. It's always either not having trust in the person that you actually like, or you have too much trust and then they turn around and backstab you, which can be something that deters people from future relationships, which, you know, breaks their trust.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm trying to take it slow, play it by ear. From a different timeline, I'm following Macy's advice. I'm going to not have the boyfriend glasses on. I'm going to just stay friends. Once I'm at a point where I'm like, oh, you know, I now have time for a girlfriend, I will then think about it. But then the fear is, what if I get to that point and it's too late? Because she just broke up with her boyfriend. I was told that.
That's so consider.
Okay, but
if there's a window,
you aren't ready to be in a relationship when she is, and then when you are, she's not. Like that's unfortunate, but you can't like sacrifice what you need just to be in a relationship with her. If you aren't ready to be in a relationship, don't do that to yourself.
It's true. That is true. But why? No, I'm kidding. No, that is 100% true. Like I said, like I'm talking just like literally flushing everything out of my mind. But like I said earlier, if I'm not in a relationship with this person romantically, I will be fine. She seems really cool just to be friends with. She's very attractive. Personality and physically.
That's all subjective, and just to bring it up again for the audience members listening, you know, there's a lot of arguments and conversation about like when is the right time to be in a relationship, and I know David brought it up in a, like he said, different timeline or conversation that may or may not have happened on a different podcast episode that won't be aired, but it's sort of, you have to be happy with yourself before you can go into a relationship. Now, David, you mentioned dating her because you wanted to be happy, but I remember you mentioning that you're perfectly fine being single because that to you makes you happy, but the people around you, I don't remember what you said about them, but it was sort of like, you know, that happiness to you is like a black hole or whatever it might be inside of you. So I mean, you may think that going into a relationship would make you happy, but that just might make it worse.
So when it comes, so I had a whole talk with Pringle and another friend.
By the way,
they were very surprised, but also confused because they said, open up. I opened up. There are points in my life where, and this is getting personal, so I won't fully disclose, but there are points when I feel nothing. nothing at all. Like there'll be moments of joy, you know, sadness, whatever. But when I am alone, no one else in the room, no one on Discord, I am as silent as a mouse. I don't talk to myself. I don't do anything. I'm just null. When someone else joins the conversation or enters a perimeter, I start to animate. I start to, I guess, be the person that you guys know. But I don't act the same way by myself I do with everyone else. I am like a statue of silence.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're like that's main like what we see versus you behind, you know, closed corridors, because I think everybody's like that. If you're by yourself, you're kind of just, you know, you're not talking to yourself. You're not demented, quote unquote, that way where you just start laughing out loud, you know, thinking about jokes, which, you know, it's possible. I'm not going to say like, you know, people who do that are demented. You know, there's a fine line between if they start talking to themselves, like in the mirror, you know, having full-fledged conversations, which can be a different, I don't want to say illness, but something mental going on where they're just isolated and they remain isolated from friends. But I mean, like, you know, that callousness of not opening up or whatever you want to say, where you feel like you don't open up. I mean, have you taken that kind of thing into like a relationship before? Because I feel like in any past relationship that I've been in, I used to be the person, like you mentioned, in a different timeline that was very open and honest with a bunch of people. And a lot of people can consider that a flaw of being in a relationship, because the whole point of being in a relationship is considering the other person's, you know, their opinions, their ideas, stuff of that nature. But when you're open and honest and blunt with someone, you know, it's one of those things where it's kind of crossing a barrier of you being considerate versus you just being like an asshole.
Okay.
Because I mean, you know, that can ruin relationships as well. And I don't know if you've ever been like that. I know you mentioned not really opening up, and the times that you open up in relationship is usually near the end when it doesn't work out, which you say that's recent, but I'm pretty sure I can find different examples in my head of that happening with even ones prior to that. But in my own experience from past relationships that I've had, being callous, you know, and blunt, some people have an attractiveness to that, but majority of others, they want to feel like they're heard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And,
you know, being heard is another thing that's difficult in a relationship as well. Because if you're not happy, you know, with your partner, you feel like you're not being heard by them, that might be something that's conflicting in the relationship or friendship. And, you know, that can result in its own different branches. I don't want to derail the conversation, but that's also something to take into consideration as well.
Mm-hmm. It depends. Like I talked about before, in the first iteration of this podcast, this episode. I hope I finally, you know, became free enough to open up. Like in every other relationship I've had before this last one, I would never express how I felt. I guess negatively. I would never say this upset me or this did this or this did that, because I was scared to ruin something. I was scared that my feelings would end a relationship. So I just stayed silent. I just, you know, took it and I just kept walking. But I finally took like people's advice, like not anyone specifically, but just overall, like throughout time, I decided, you know what, let me open up. This is long distance. The worst thing is that we stopped talking. Like at that time, we weren't fully in yet, or at least I wasn't. And then when she reacted the way she did, when she didn't yell at me, she didn't badge me, she didn't do anything. Like she was very insistent on, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that I was hurting your feelings. I won't do it again. And I was expecting, you know, to be yelled at or to be made fun of or something. So that, like, I guess right there defines you of like my history with my exes. So
I think that's a pretty like considerate way to think about it, because at the same time, like you're trying to, I don't want to say be considerate to their feelings, but you're cautious of your own, trying to be open to them. I mean, just you saying that, something I didn't even think about was that, you know, this person might have just been saying what you wanted to hear just so that they didn't have to be confronted by you. I know that's something that people don't like nowadays, is confrontation. They don't like, you know, whenever they do something wrong, to be stood up or, you know, talked to about it, which is something, you know, between you and I, David, not to get personal again, that's like something that I feel like whenever we talk about past like friendships, like how we're not as close as we used to be anymore, that confrontation, it stings a little bit. I'm not going to say, you know, it doesn't sting in a relationship, because, you know, like we mentioned before, friendships can still be considered relationships. It's hard to, well, it's not hard to distinguish the two, but, you know, there's certain points where confrontation is needed in a relationship to move forward, to find like better common ground. And then it was a whole thing that I brought up in a different timeline about, like, you know, having near death experiences where that's probably what happened to that person. You know, they went to the hospital and they had a realization that, damn, maybe I don't want to be with you. I want to be with, you know, a different person that just happens to be in my life at this point.
That's why you brought that up. Okay.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, if I had a near death experience, I would want to get as close with the friends that I have now currently, just enjoy whatever last moments I have. And, you know, there was something I was mentioning to Macy back then about like leaving a legacy behind, which, believe it or not, you know, YouTube is going to become part of that legacy. It's something that when I get old, I want to look at again and just remember like the fun that we had back then, just being stupid. And, you know, life will get in the way of things like that. And it's one of the other things I brought up about like prioritizing stuff that's important to you. There's always like people around you who say like, oh, I don't have the time for this. I don't have the time for that. And then, you know, you'll see them do some shit that's like, I thought you didn't have time to do this, but you're doing it with somebody else. Like, people prioritize what they think is important to them at that time. So if, you know, they don't have time for you, it's because you're not a priority to them.
Yeah. For me, you said leaving a legacy would be for YouTube. For me, when I think of leaving a legacy, I don't think of business whatsoever. I don't think of YouTube. I don't think of my law career. I don't think of any of that. When I think of my legacy, when I die, it's the impact I've had on people. Hopefully that when I die, one, you cry. Hopefully, no. Or else I failed as a friend.
Well, I said part of. YouTube will be a part of my legacy. That includes kids, you know, impact, stuff like that. But it's sad to think that one of us isn't going to be at the other one's funeral.
No, yeah, of course. Like, I've already, because I'm not gonna go into it, but last year or 2 years ago, when my grandfather and uncle died within like the same year, that crushed me. Especially my grandfather. When he died first, he was basically my second father. When my dad was flying, I was with him. And I couldn't even see him because it was COVID and he was in a different country. I couldn't say goodbye. I don't even know if I said I love you. It's the last thing I said to him. And I'm still always so mad because I can't say anything to him. And my dad got to see him. Like, he got to fly to Venezuela and be with him because my dad had COVID. So the chances of him getting it again were very slim. I never got it. So I didn't get the ability to go. And so he got to spend the final time with his dad. As he should. You know, I'm not mad at that. I'm just mad that I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't contact him. And then my uncle died right like almost a year less after that. And so I've prepared myself. The next death that's going to probably destroy me is my dog. When he dies, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Well, you can't really prepare yourself for something like that. Even if you think that you are, there's no preparing for something.
Not prepare, but I already know you're dying, Macy's dying, Pringle's dying.
Obviously, I don't mean it like that, fool. Like, we all die, and, you know, that's the whole conversation about, like, what's the point of having anything if we're all gonna fucking die? But it's to have experiences and moments with them that you're gonna remember for the rest of your life. Like, it's love, it's moments, experience. There's so much more to it, and, you know, that's the whole point of, like, being born. If, you know, you're born just to die, but in that birth, like, that time that you have on Earth, there's a bunch of stuff that you do that impacts people. I'm not gonna say that's the reason of life. I'm not a fucking philosopher, but that's one of the reasons that people love to exist. They love to do things.
No, yeah, I mean, I I had a conversation. I can't remember which friend it was. It was probably Pringle or someone else.
All right, wait, hold on. Let's hold that for a second because we have 40 seconds. Macy, did you want to say anything?
I only have thoughts. Like I'm still kind of a few steps back in the conversation, just been thinking about stuff. So you guys can carry on.
Okay, well, we'll have an additional couple minutes. David, you can finish up. We have 30 seconds left.
As my final thing, I was told by someone, I believe it was Pringle, could have been someone else. David, you don't care. And then I got instantly offended. I got very angry because I have a lot of stuff, and most of it isn't like, sure, like I have a lot of stuff of my own, but most of the stuff that I have of trophies and shit aren't stuff of my own. Like I still have the letters that Pringle sent me from boot camp. I still have the David Funko Pop Macy gave me. I still have the Freddy stuffed animal you guys gave me. I still have that stupid ass Elmo Street whatever shit you gave me, which I don't even want, but I have it because you gave it to me.
You mean that time when I faked wrapped a present?
Yes.
And then I gave you
the mouse
present
instead. Yes.
I know, right? Isn't that funny how we have moments like that and you ignore my ass? I'll snap. Fuck you.
There we go.
All right.
But like when they said that, I said like I showed them everything I have. Like I have stuff from people who I don't even talk to anymore, but I care. I'm bad at showing that, but I definitely care. Like I have stuff from years ago that I still have. Yeah, I'm a monster. Why would I have all this stuff?
Macy, did you want to say something?
I think a part of that, because I do very similar. Like if I put some kind of sentimental value on something, unless I just like lose it because I'm dumb, I will hold on to it for years upon years upon years until I like can't tell what it is, or I've forgotten the significance of it completely because it was somebody I haven't talked to in 6 years. Like I'll admit I got rid of the bracelet that I think my first grade bestie gave me because she moved away and now I don't even remember her name. So I think I threw that away like 3 or 4 years ago. But I understand that sentiment, although admittedly, like I'm pretty sure that a component is I do have like a little bit of an issue with like hoarding. So with like sentimental things. The thing that I don't know, I'm still just kind of sitting on it. It was like when you were saying way back when, like before we die, like if your light flashes before your eyes, like you want to be able to look back on the videos and like see all the fun that we had. I don't know. I've just been thinking about it and it's like, fuck man, like, I don't know. I don't have as many like memories to like look back on, I guess. Like I don't really take pictures of things when I'm doing them. And part of it is like, yeah, I live in the moment, blah, blah, blah. But mostly it's like, I get insecure because it's like, I don't want to take a picture of myself. And I know certain people that I'm around don't want pictures of them. Or it's like, even just when I was hanging out with my friend, we were going Halloween shopping. A lot of that time I was like, man, it would be kind of fun if we like took a picture together or something. But I was too scared to ask because I didn't want to be weird. And it's like, damn, I feel like I already kind of regret it. I can't even imagine, like, I've got a bad memory, how much I'm going to forget. And I'm going to regret not having those like physical pieces, I guess, when I'm older.
Yeah. No, I agree because Edward complains about this a lot, like videotaping and taking photos. Like we should live in the moment.
I mean, I complain about it, but you still do it anyways. So
no, and my reason is because my grandmother has Alzheimer's. It's very strong now. It's a reoccurring disease in the family, so I might have it, especially with how bad my memory is. It shouldn't be this bad. And it's not because of like, you know, like whatever, like a choice. I don't get to choose. So
I'm sure that's ADHD, buddy.
Either way, this is gonna get a little bleak, but if I do lose my memory, which this is what I thought of a couple of years ago, and why I take so many videos and photos, I'm gonna forget you guys if I do get Alzheimer's. So I want to have all these videos and photos so that I will be able to remember. Because if I've already said to some people, I don't think I've said it to you guys, if I get some sort of disease that incapacitates me or makes me not who I am, just kill me. Goodbye.
Hold on, wait, stop. Because you said that you would do anything to get superpowers. So if you get superpowers from this disease, how the fuck are we gonna kill you?
Okay, but I'm talking about like if I get into a vegetable state, or if
There you go. Well, realistically speaking, we're not gonna kill you. That's fucking stupid. But at the same time, it's one of those like, yeah, there is a possibility that you will get Alzheimer's, and depending on your friend group, you know, they'll either visit you or they won't. It always depends on the person. Which hopefully you made more friends than enemies in your lifetime. But that's something that we don't have to consider now, which is, you know, why I'm not particularly, you know, I don't like photos. Yes. I think that's more of a personal issue, and I'm working towards being more comfortable with that. The only reason I brought up leaving a legacy behind with videos is because to me, that's actually like, that's what we've done so far. Like, our life is still technically starting. We haven't gone anywhere, at least not Macy and I. So there's not really moments that we're missing just yet. That shit's coming like in the future. But the stuff that's happening now, like us reading fucking stories on Halloween, like whenever, however old we were, I mean, that's the shit that we were doing at that moment. So it's nice to look back on those moments that already happened and just live it through or think about it again.
You know, it depends. Like I said, I always take videos and photos because even now, people could be like, "Oh, do you remember this thing we did in high school?" No, I don't, because it was so long ago. Do I have a video of it? Maybe.
Oh, okay. So, you know, you saying the N-word will incriminate you in the future, right? Yes. No, but I get it. I understand. You know, if you do get Alzheimer's or you become a vegetable, I'll push you off the roof. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
And just hearing it now, I won't visit you, period. At us.
Thank you.
Well, it depends where you are. If you're like some fucking different country, I don't know how that's possible. But
I better be in Area 51 is what it is.
there you go. Yeah, you're not getting superpowers. But anyways, we've taken enough time just on this subject. At least we've gone 6 minutes overtime. Basically, did you want to say anything else?
No, okay.
Okay, so we'll move on then. Let me restart the timer. Basically, did you want to do your topic or did you want to do mine? You don't care? Okay. All right. I guess I'll just do my topic, just so we can get it over with. So my topic again is caring too much about social media. Let me go ahead and start the timer. And this kind of derives from the fact that for some reason it was very hard for me to pick a topic to discuss on the podcast this week. And that's mainly because, you know, I like to disassociate myself when it comes to social media, because that's not something I really like prioritize, not something that I consider important. I know that some people would, you know, they would argue that that's the way of the world now. That's the only way to get information nowadays. But I don't know, being like a social media influencer or trying to be one, and or keeping up with trends, like it's so much to consider. And usually a lot of people, I want to say, they go insane when it comes to that, because there's so much happening. And, you know, there are like dedicated news sources on social media that tell you about this stuff, but I think the people running those accounts, like, there has to be some form of toll on you to always stay on social media, stay on Twitter, stay on Reddit, whatever it might be. There has to be a toll. I mean, I get like fatigue just editing for YouTube, which, you know, I guess you wouldn't really consider like a social media, like an intense social media platform. But stuff like Twitter, I mean, just trying to post every day or posting shorts on Twitter, I mean, honestly, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot to comprehend. And people who do it for a job, like social media managers and shit like that, like I sympathize with them, honestly. Like, even though some people would say it's very easy, there's a lot that goes into, at least I want to believe there's a lot that goes into doing stuff with posts. If there's like an easy topic to post about, then it's very simple to join the conversation by posting something dumb. I think we're all familiar with the fact that if you want to get views or attention, like on any social media app, you just have to spark an argument. Like, you just have to say the most absurd shit to spark an argument. And, you know, it doesn't even have to necessarily be a side that you support, but just something that, you know, someone's going to argue about. And I'm trying to think of an example of it, you know, without like triggering somebody. And I can't really think of one. You'd have to give me a hot minute, but I don't know. That's a topic I wanted to bring up, mainly because it was hard for me to find a topic that I genuinely actually give a shit about today. And I don't know if either of you have been having issues with that as well.
I definitely was, because I was in the same boat. I took even longer than you did to pick a topic, and my topic is kind of bullshit because I couldn't find anything. And part of that is like I don't have access to as much of like the current news, I guess, through my social media, because I was scrolling like all day. I went on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I even tried looking at the Snapchat stories. I went on Reddit. I Googled current trending topics. Like I went as far as I could to find something, but it was either like politically based or just the dumbest sounding shit ever. And I'm like, this is a non-issue. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, politics is an easy like gate out, to be honest with you. Like you can, for example, and I know this is going to trigger somebody. David already brought it up in a previous timeline of ours, but you know, Trump's indictment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll bring it up right
I
now.
thought you were talking about something else. That was triggering. Never mind.
Oh no, we're not bringing that shit up. Period. Like you're talking about. Anyways, yeah, Trump's indictment. Like it's very easy when it comes to politics, as well as like being PC, that can set people off, which is very easy to get views and likes from. There's always going to be two sides to every argument. I know there's some people who say like there are three sides, technically speaking. Like there's your side, my side, and then the truth. But you know, if you really wanted to get views on social media, I know there's some people that do a lot of deplorable things to just to get attention. I think attention on social media as well is something that's very toxic, but very alluring at the same time. To know that like, you know, you doing something fucking stupid is gonna grab somebody else's attention just for like 15 seconds of fame. I mean, that alone makes people do very dangerous, stupid things, which I hope it never becomes what I do on social media.
Yeah, like the grimace shit.
Well, I mean, that was innocent in my opinion, considering like all the other trends that have happened. Just, you know, I think the original grimace one where they were just like spilling shakes and shit like that, but there were some people who were like throwing themselves in like storm drains and shit like that. Like that can easily become a very dangerous trend, and it's just for views and likes.
What was that movie that was I think it was starring Huey from The Boys or some other actor similar to him that he like
Alzheimer?
to go viral.
Oh.
No, he wasn't that, but no, it was starring this guy, and maybe it was like Andrew Garfield or something. I don't know. It was a white guy. He wanted to go viral, so he like did like an Uber service.
You mean by the way, I can hear myself through your mic. You mean Steve Harrington, the guy who played Steve Harrington?
Yeah, him.
I forgot what the movie was called, but I know what you're referencing. I don't know if you heard about that movie, David. Give me a second.
I can sum it up just to kind of give you an idea. Like essentially he's trying to become like a social media star or like become viral. So he like starts Ubering, and then he's essentially hurting the people in the Uber, and he's like streaming it.
I don't know what the hell that is. The only thing
it's called Spree. The movie's called Spree.
Yeah, like the only things I know of Jack Quaid are My Adventures with Superman, which just came out, Oppenheimer, The Boys.
It's not Jack Quaid, it's Joe Keery.
Oh, the guy from Stranger Things?
Yeah, the one who plays Steve Harrington. The movie was called Spree. The summary they give of it is pretty much just desperate for an online following, a rideshare driver has figured out a deadly plan to go viral, and he will stop at nothing to get his 5 minutes of fame. I actually remember watching that, and I think at the end, there was this whole moment where he met a quote-unquote celebrity who was just like a stand-up comic who, you know, she had such a weird experience with him that he kept trying to, I think, like push off something to her to make him famous, kind of, I think, to like tweet about him or something like that, which didn't happen, which he was mad about. And he actually went to the show that she was going to tonight that she was starring in, and she spoke about the experience that she had with him at the show, sort of like to laugh about it, because that's something that's so fucking weird that happened. And at the end, I honestly don't even remember it too much, but it's kind of crazy to me to think about like his original plan, which I think he was still trying to, was to kill her because she didn't give him that 5 minutes of fame from her big following, which I'm sure that we can think about like situations or examples. I mean, there was an example that happened, you know, to Logan Paul, and not to say he went as crazy as where the guy almost killed him, but it was that guy who went up to him asking for like a job. I don't know if you saw this, David, where he was asking him for a job that he quit his daytime job and everything like that. Like he was making a considerable amount of money. I think it was like high 5 figures to 6
and Logan Paul
figures.
said no.
Yeah, he was just like I want to get into social media, I want to do all this, and you're the guy that I want to go to. And Logan Paul was just like, no, like you need to do this with your friends. Like I just had my brother and that's it. Like I need a mentor myself. But he just kept like begging. That shit to me is like, it's very embarrassing when someone like that does it, to make it seem like they're so desperate just to get like media attention, because apparently that's following their dreams. But I think once you're in that limelight where everything is kind of out there in the open, it's hard to get privacy again. And that's something that like stars nowadays tell you. It's like they want privacy still. Like they don't mind being famous without, you know, the paparazzi, without the crazy fans, all this shit that's happening.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's something to consider as well. Not to cut you off, but you know, if you and I ever become famous, that's something to consider.
You know, I've never even asked for a co-streamer. I've never asked for like anyone higher than me to be in a video. I haven't reached out to anyone, and I probably won't, because at this point I only make videos for myself. I don't believe I'm going to become famous. With the way I'm doing things, I am not putting enough work to do that. I'm basically doing it as a relationship still with you, and doing it for myself, because I do find enjoyment if it's actually good. But when I edit those half-ass videos, like that last Outlast one, I didn't feel good about it because like it was terrible. I tried to do as much as I could, but of course when I didn't record the Omega X or whatever that shit's called, I got very sad, because that, like, I put a lot of like effort into, like, you know, sounding funny and like screaming and all that shit. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever ask, like, I'll never go to Markiplier and be like, oh hey, you want to, like, you know, play Minecraft together or whatever, like, as an example. Like, it's a hyperbole. But yeah, I'll never really go to someone and just be like, oh hey, can I mooch off of you, I guess.
Well, I mean, I don't know if because there's nothing wrong with asking someone who has like a higher amount of followers. That's if you can even get their attention, considering how many people are usually following, which is what, you know, Joe Keery's character kind of did, because he actually had, you know, the star near him in his ride, versus like if you were to message her like on Instagram, for example, like that gets filtered through a bunch of different messages from a bunch of different people. But you know, just you saying that you weren't proud of like what you produced, that's already like a step further than most of these people on social media who, you know, will go to any extreme, any length, and post it with no shame just to get 5 minutes of fame. And you know, fame doesn't usually always have to, you know, be something bad. You know, it's not something where, I don't know, I feel like being famous has its own like negative connotation with it, because you know that your life is going to be on display. But you know, you can always meet people, network with people that you wouldn't ever have dreamed to network before just being famous, which is also something that you have to consider as well.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know. We kind of, I guess, derailed a little bit. I don't know if that's the best term to use it, but I don't know. Social media is still something that I'm trying to wrap my head around, and that's mainly coming from the fact that I, you know, originally didn't care about it, and I still don't to some degree. If YouTube ever becomes something bigger for me, it's something that I'll have to consider. But no, like you said, it's, for me, it's really just to post it for my own enjoyment. And then if I work on something really hard, I want someone to see it. I want, you know, even if it's one person who laughs at it, that's enough for me. I don't really necessarily care about anything else. But I think that's something also that deters me as well, is like, if you work really hard on something and no one looks at it, it's something that can prevent you from going further.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like asking for help isn't bad. It's just like doing it, I guess, with ill intent or not ill intent. Because I personally would never ask. One, because it's too much of a pride issue, and two, if I were to do something, I want to do it, one, for myself, and two, with myself. For example, I was having a talk with one of my friends. We were playing League together yesterday, and I got off after the first game because I got mad as fuck. But I told him I don't care about League anymore. Like, years ago, I wanted it to, like, you know, climb ranks and all this shit, but now I don't even give a fuck anymore. Like, I just play because my friends want to. League, like, we all used to have that idea of like, oh, I want to be a pro gamer, I want to do this. And now I just play games with my friends, or now I'm actually starting to play games by myself again, which I haven't done in a long time. I personally just, I don't know.
I mean, I think that's just a part of like maturing and growing up, because like something like League, you know, if you still find enjoyment in it, that's perfectly fine. But if it's something that's making you mad, whereas before, you know, all of our friends would play League, now we just don't necessarily care enough, because it's not something worth getting mad about anymore. Like, I still like playing League occasionally, but it's not something that I'll go out of my way, you know, to play ranked and climb. And as much of a dream as it was to be a pro player, sometimes hearing like the stories from pro players about dedicating their entire like day in, day out to League of Legends, I mean, that alone, like, it's hard to even think about dedicating myself to one game, but to become a pro player and doing it for hours on end, like, nah, that's not worth it. Even if you get paid for it, it's still not worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like, one game I'm playing again, which I'm so happy, and it's back. It's back. Overwatch 2 died. Team Fortress 2 is back. It has reached a higher peak. Like, recently, July, the peak evolved. It used to be like 100 something thousand players at once, and now it's 200 something thousand players. A lot of people are playing Team Fortress 2 again, and I'm so happy. I'm playing it again. I'm playing by myself because none of my friends play it. But I'm slowly adding people to play with as well, because Team Fortress 2 is my favorite game. It will always be my favorite game.
I know I saw something somewhere that someone posted about about Valve saying that they were going to shut the servers down because there wasn't enough enjoyment, and someone said, like, I mean, that was like their childhood game. There's always communities like that where they'll keep the servers open just to show the devs that there's still a community that cares about it. I think they did that with like Halo. I think Halo Reach. I don't remember which Halo game, but like one of these old ass games, they kept those servers open just to show that there was still somebody, even an individual, who cared about it.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't play Team Fortress 2. I mean, I used to back, God knows when. I have some skins. I think the only time I ever played it was with you. But
my when I played, I think the beginning of this year, I joined a random server, and there was only like 5 people, and just with 5 people, the server was lagging. And I was like, why is this lagging? And they're like, oh, well, the servers aren't doing well because they're not paying attention, blah, blah, blah. No one's playing. And then Overwatch, Blizzard fucked up. Lied to all their players, basically killed the game for themselves. And then Overwatch 2 made an update in July, the summer update, and everyone came back. Some people left, like some people just played for that 1 month, but there's still 100,000 people playing, which is way more than it used to be, and a lot of people are grateful that like this is the first update in a while.
Clarifying, the July update you said was Team Fortress 2?
Yep.
Okay, because you said Overwatch 2, and I was really confused.
Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, Valve games have like withstood the test of time.
Which, by the way,
Left 4 Dead 2.
I sent you the TikTok. The Valve pack is back, and it's like, I think like $9 or $5 for like a good amount of games.
Yeah, let's give a quick shout out to Valve. I already have the pack. I bought that was like the first thing I bought, actually. I had Steam. when I downloaded Steam. I mean, back then, like, it was hard to believe that like you had to pay money for games, considering like a game like League of Legends was free, which again back then was sort of like the go-to for us. And then Minecraft, which we would, you know, beg our parents to fucking get. But now, speaking of the prices of games, shit, now that everything is coming out $70 instead of $60, which I don't know the reason why. I'm going to say inflation, mainly because that's the only thing I can think about. I don't know if there's an actual reason. There are still games that they think are like high quality that they're releasing at this $70 price tag that it isn't. I mean, even at the $60 fucking price tag, it's not high quality, period. Hence the whole thing that we talked about with Pringle in the previous episode, with them releasing the game with a fucking apology note. That shit is funny. And Cyberpunk was one of them.
Well, Cyberpunk got rushed. A lot of people say it's not the... I think it's either the devs' faults or it's definitely not the creator, like the people that were making the game, because they needed time and they weren't given it.
10 years, by the way.
Yeah, but like with games like when you create games like Elden Ring, Dark Souls, like they're not. I don't know if they're perfect, because Elden Ring had some bugs, but not many. God of War didn't.
Well,
Baldur's Gate 3,
not a lot, but
Baldur's Gate 3 has some bugs, but they patched them instantly. The fact that companies are saying, "Oh, don't put your expectations high for games. They shouldn't be like Baldur's Gate 3," that pissed me off. You're basically telling me that I should expect a shitty game because you guys are too fucking lazy to make a game like that, actually spend money and time to do that. That pissed me off.
Was Baldur's Gate 3 like Baldur's Gate 3 or Team Fortress 2? Is that something that you plan on recording and editing, or no?
You know, Team Fortress 2, maybe. I have a lot of fun with it, so that might be something I could do. Maybe a short, because I have an idea for a short. I just need to find the right people. Like, not like friends, but random people. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, I don't think I ever would record it, no.
Because that's something that could also fall into the whole thing about social media, at least a trending aspect of caring about social media. And, you know, a lot of people, they follow the trend, but if it's something for gaming, like for us to stay relevant, it's very hard to in an oasis of just a bunch of games. Yeah. And then new games get released again. But, you know, stuff that's trending, it's very easy to play the game like once for however long, upload a video, get, you know, likes and views and shit like that, and just move on to the next one. But it's one of those things about chasing the high as well, because if they're releasing new games that people want to see, and then you release a video, you're not really niching down, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those where you're just following the trend, making a video, and you kind of have this library of different games that people don't really know what they're subscribing for, which, you know, unfortunately, that's what my channel is. I'm not going to say I follow the trends, but it's just a library of different games, and that's just games that I particularly like.
I'm going to say right now, for the record, if you get popular and people watch this, if I do become a regular uploader again, I'm done with trends. I'm going to upload whatever the fuck I want. If there's a game that's trending that I like, I might upload it. But I'm not going to follow trends anymore. I'm just going to upload stuff that I want to do.
That's fine.
I'm happy to help you for a trend. Like if you want to, Friday the 13th, we still have to plan that before the servers go down.
We did plan it. In fact, we planned so many fucking dates, they just fell through. That reminds me as well, man, I'm done. We were supposed to record that bitch on Tuesday.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
Yeah, I was super busy with class.
Super busy. I saw you on the server, by the way. I got it here.
Yeah, but I wasn't playing. That day.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah, we have projects that we have to do. Friday the 13th, Payday 2.
There you go. Throw out the whole itinerary. Fuck it. Everybody expect the new fucking Mortal Kombat 1 game for me, not David.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't play fighting games. That raises my blood.
I think that's the fun aspect of it, at least when it comes to games that I know I'm not going to play, like League of Legends, for example. I don't like playing League because it raises my blood pressure and it's not worth it. But when it's a game like Mortal Kombat 1, which I want to say, or Mortal Kombat, fighting games in general, not just Mortal Kombat, where it's like heavily skill based and it's just like a 1-on-1 rather than like a 5v5. 5v5s, you're getting mad at your teammates for being on, the short bus, quote unquote, versus if you're losing, a fighting game, that's because of your own skill, which is it's something to be a little bit, it's more honorable, at least in my opinion.
I guess I should say, also, I'm not supposed to, because I'm on medication to lower my blood pressure. So I shouldn't play games that would raise it that much. And I know fighting games would, because I get hella fucking mad, especially at Naruto.
Remember Multiverses?
That was fun, though. That actually was a fun fighting game.
Well, yeah. I mean, how about this, David? That could actually be like a trend for yourself. I wouldn't say it flopped. It did. But they took it down the beta just so that they could release a more refined version later, which is funny because people who bought, the Founders Edition, they can't actually do anything with it now. But
yep.
I mean, just that could be a funny idea for you to do for fighting games or anything that raises your blood pressure, trying to find peace, like playing like Zen music while playing that shit. I don't know, that idea.
Tyler one tried doing that with League, and that shit was.
I know, but it's stuff like that to me. It's funny, but to flesh out the details, that's something different. But
no, yeah, for sure.
That's funny.
I have an idea for team. After playing it a lot now, for the past couple of days, I have an idea that I want to do. I just have to, 1, remember to record, and 2, find a server. The idea is showing what Team Fortress 2 is versus what it used to be. It used to be sweaty as shit. Now people are dancing all over the server, fucking do it driving cars. Now it's it's not a joke, but it's a lot more fun than it used to be. Before, it was just hundreds of players. Get to that point, boom, done, next round. Now people are actually enjoying the game.
I mean, that's something that we can say about Friday the 13th, which I'm pretty sure I told you already. There are people on there now who are hacking the game that are changing the server limit, which that includes 3 Jasons and 40 fucking survivors. That shit to me is funny to think about because we're not actually gonna be able to actually get into a good game now. But I mean, that might bring more fun to us rather than making it just.
How much time do we have left?
We have 5 minutes.
Okay,
we kind of well, I wouldn't say we derailed because the whole part of social media, at least when it comes to making content, is to plan out the details. And just for the audience, planning out the details, I think is one of the biggest things to consider when trying to make content that you're proud about, which goes back to the whole people who do stupid things, deplorable things just for their instant moment of fame. I think once you lose that enjoyment of it and you kind of just do it for your own ego, knowing that you're going to get views and shit like that, it's not enjoyable anymore. At least
I have to cut you off, and it's you're fine. I just feel bad because Macy is not talking.
I know. I was actually gonna say if she wanted to say anything. She hasn't.
I was gonna say do we want to just go to her topic now because she has not spoken in probably 30 minutes.
Oh god.
I spoke 5 minutes ago. I just don't really have anything to add, and I don't want to interrupt because you guys are having a conversation. I just don't relate to it because I don't play games.
Yeah, that's why she doesn't have a social media account. Come on now. Macy doesn't care about social media.
I mean, this is technically her social media account too, since Med Podcast.
That's true. And she's just nodding her head, not giving a fuck about you right now.
I don't know. I thought you were still talking, so I was waiting. I mean, yeah, social media is, I don't know. I don't have any followers. I keep everything private, so.
And that's
you
fair.
Keep telling them to follow you on social media.
Yeah, that is true. You are also doing that. After telling them not to, you tell them to.
Actually, the entire time I was don't. I was just joking whenever I said I did. Whenever I said to, just don't, because it's all private and I don't want anybody to try and, because it's just annoying, rejecting a bunch of fucking random people. Because I've been getting a lot of people just random quick ads on Snapchat and fucking random friend of a friend of a friend on Instagram lately, and I'm just this is so fucking annoying. It's such a nuisance. I don't know you, get the fuck away from me, you know what I'm saying?
Heard that. She's famous already. Goddamn. All right, yeah, but that's pretty much all I wanted to say on this topic. It wasn't even really a topic, more of just a rant that social media is a toxic fucking parasite that lives with all of us, unfortunately. What about you, David?
That's pretty much it. Every day we stray farther from God with social media.
Oh my God, holier than thou, by the way. Social media obviously extends more than just, Reddit, Twitter, the face value stuff that we brought here, but it's not anything that we want to get into because, the dark side of social media is a little bit different than what we've been talking about. And, unfortunately, the dark side of social media also includes like triggering topics that we won't mention, but that's pretty much all I want to say about it. No one has anything else to say, then we'll forfeit the 1 minute and 53 seconds that we have on this topic.
Gucci gang.
All right, now to learn about something I've never heard of in my life.
All right, Macy.
Take the floor.
I made that term up, so that's probably why you've never heard of it.
Slander, libel. All right.
What?
You're making things up, making me believe it. Anyway, go ahead. Opinionated.
Sorry. Yeah, it's an opinionated one. This was, as I was saying like earlier, like I could not fucking come up with a topic, and I was trying to like search, like trending things or controversial things that people are talking about right now, and as I said, it was either all like politically based, and I don't want to get into that, and we've all agreed not to, or like they were all just very stupid things, but they were all labeled as like the number one trending topic according to this random news article as of this week is Picklegate. And then it's like, I just know like throughout the past several months, or like on Twitter, the other thing that I was seeing a lot of was like Scootergate. I saw a lot of like Cakegate and Artgate and all of these other like random gates that people are just making up these controversies. And yes, like some of them are very serious. Like Scootergate, I believe, is about like Scooter is the manager for a bunch of artists that are like having issues breaking contracts and stuff right now, like Justin and a bunch of other artists, Bieber.
Oh, okay.
So that one, like, yeah, I can respect some of them are serious, but like Picklegate is literally like some conspiracy theory that's like, why don't pickle jars say pickle? And it's like, I don't know, it's all based off of Watergate or whatever it is, like Nixon's thing, right? And I feel like they're just taking this like title and they're making it the most like useless thing ever and making everything such like a maximalist, like, oh my God, this is such a big, like, I don't know. It's like, I guess my major point, and I'm saying a lot today, I apologize, but it's very difficult to discern actually important news, and everything is it's coming to a point where everything uses these buzzwords to gain attention, even the most minute non-issues, that it just feels like you're being, what is the word? Berated? Assuaged? Being attacked from all sides. I just feel this sense of overwhelming like anxiety every time I look at all of these like crazy controversies that are going on. Like, oh my God, this gate. And it's just like Cakegate was, somebody complained about a cake that they put no effort into and cost $60. And then everybody for months were talking about it on cake decorating TikTok. I don't know. As I said, I just totally made up the word gateism, but I just feel like it's an issue that I am starting to kind of see rise up, where everything is becoming a massive controversy in their niche environments, and it's becoming very overwhelming.
This is like a side topic because this is a question, like, I guess for Macy. It's very like nothing related to your topic, so I apologize.
Whoa, David, what the fuck?
It just came to mind before I forget. Have you heard of a band called Weezer?
Are you kidding me? Are you really asking me that?
I feel like you would.
You just got Weezered.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason that popped into my head. I'm like, I never knew they were a band until recently because I saw memes about it, and then like I saw this one just like post recently where it was just like hours of Weezer playing in the background of playing games. I'm like, would Macy listen to Weezer? It sounds like something she would listen to. I don't know what like most of the songs.
God tier artist,
Yeah,
bro.
so I was correct. Anyway, continue. Sorry about that.
That was all I don't know. It's just, as I said, kind of a bullshit topic because I could not come up with anything, but that's my rant on it. I don't know if you guys see something similar or if you have similar experiences where media seems to kind of drag a topic into this giant issue when really it doesn't exist, or it seems to kind of make itself look a lot bigger than it is, and it's difficult to see like the real issues, I suppose.
All right, dude. I'll let you take a stab at it.
Can we just say, like, we're already pretty long on this podcast. We'll just cut my topic out. It's useless.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think because you said like making it seem more bigger than it actually is. I've never heard of like anything of what you're talking about where it has like gate at the end. I feel like I've heard like a word that had gate, but it wasn't anything related to like picklegate or whatever the fuck it might be. But you know, in terms of them embellishing the details to make it bigger than what it appears to be, I think that's just another part of like social media where everything always has to appear to be bigger than what it normally is, just so it garners attention, and people can, you know, make videos about it, not really necessarily to come to any conclusion, but sort of just to talk about it, I guess, to make it seem like it's more dramatic than it actually is. And you know, you can say that for any topic, to be honest. Like if a fucking turtle crossed the road, there's always going to be that one person who's like, oh my god, this turtle could have fucking died, like we need to talk about traffic laws and stuff. Like what? Like that has nothing to do or pertaining to the like what actually happened. I don't know. I don't even know if that's in relation to what you were talking about, but no, I haven't heard of fucking anything with a gate in it.
One thing that I can talk about, which what you just said, is one thing I learned, which I find fucked. Is that when COVID was a thing, they were like, I'm sure a lot of people died, but a lot of deaths that were recorded as COVID deaths were put in the wrong place just to bump up the COVID scare. I was told this by someone that worked at the CDC. So I'm not just bullshitting like just TikTok or whatever. Someone at the CDC, who I know from church, was talking about how most of the deaths that they get are car crashes, but since they had COVID in their system, they just blame it on COVID. I'm not gonna name drop anyone, but
So clarifying, they had COVID when they went through the car crash, and that's why they labeled it that way?
yes,
Okay.
like their death was not COVID related. They just see COVID and they're like, oh boom, put it on there so we can spread awareness and we can, like, you know, make people scared. Like I found that so bad. Like if you spin it, yeah, you could, like, you know, make it seem scarier, like the deaths are like going through the roof, but you're also lying to everybody. It's like you're like, someone died, like someone falls down the stairs, breaks their neck. Oh, they had COVID in the system. It was COVID. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, I mean, you have to remember that when you hear information, regardless of if someone claims that they work with the CDC or not, you always want to take the grain of salt. Like you never want to fully believe somebody until you have, I want to say, all the facts, but nowadays you can't really get all the facts for anything. There's always sources that are, you know, either quote unquote forgetting the details, or they're trying to word around it or word it so weirdly that it doesn't seem as apparent to you as it might to somebody else. But I mean, you know, there's obviously going to be articles that debunk that whole thing. I don't really know the numbers. When COVID was happening or when it ended, I wasn't really paying attention to any of it, mainly because at that point I was just working from home, so it didn't affect me. But I mean, I can understand to some degree them, and like, I guess, sort of exaggerating the numbers, not to falsely report anything, but to make it more of a scare tactic, for example, which, you know, people weren't really taking it seriously when it first started to happen, which, whatever bias you have about it, you know, not keeping your mask on or not believing that it's real. I know that was a whole argument when I was still or when like COVID first broke out, that people were like, COVID's actually fake because we didn't see anybody personally, like just us personally, like see anyone who's actually had COVID. So until we actually got like factual evidence in front of us that this person is infected with COVID, and that's when we can actually confirm that it's real, which is a very stupid argument to make, to be honest. I know there's a bunch of conspiracies that the government is spreading this false narrative for whatever other thing to scare Americans, and aliens just happens to be one of them until all this declassified stuff came out. But I mean, I'm not going to say that people who think the government has our good intention in mind are stupid. I think they're gullible to some degree, because at the end of the day, people in government are just humans like you and I, and they just want money. So, I mean, I don't know if the numbers were exaggerated, if they were embellished, whatever it might be. Doing a quick Google search of it, the first document I saw was literally debunking the false claim that COVID death counts are inflated. So there's always going to be two sides to the argument, but yeah, I can understand the point that you're coming from.
Yeah.
Valuable opinions.
I mean, I already put my 2 cents about it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, she said gate as well. I think I was thinking it was Boulder's Gate. Head us.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't know how else to phrase that. It's just the trend of everything becoming one of those. I mean, it was called Watergate, right? The Nixon thing, that swept the whole nation. It was a really, really big deal that he was hiding that. And now everything is just a gate. It's just a trend. And it's some of it is really important, some of it is not, and some of it is important, but it's getting swept away, I guess.
I mean, what would gate necessarily mean in this context? Is it literal, just something being held behind a gate that's hidden?
No, so it's, for example, with Cakegate, the controversy was this creator that does cake decorating videos posted a rant video that she made this cake for a customer, and the customer said it looked like shit basically, and she was not going to pay the $80 or whatever for it. And the whole thing, all the comments were saying yeah, it does look like shit. And then it became a whole trend to basically make fun of this creator and say, I can make a cake better than that and I wouldn't charge that much. And all of these cake decorating accounts making the whatever cake. And it was just this controversial topic. But on the other hand, some of them are, the coming out of this information. For example, what is it called? Scootergate is that Scooter guy who's the manager for all of these artists, is that all these artists are now coming forward with, I wouldn't say allegations, so to speak. I didn't really look into it too far, so I don't want to speak out of turn and say something incorrect. But from what I understand, they are in contracts with this Scooter guy that is very, very binding for them, that doesn't allow them a lot of things that they would prefer to do, and certain freedoms as an artist that the general public believes they're being awarded, and that from a standpoint of a fan, they should be awarded. So it's more similar to a controversy that this info is coming out, sort of like Harvey Weinstein and those kinds of things, where people are coming forward with allegations. So it's a very, very diverse thing. I mean, as I said, Picklegate is literally just conspiracy theorists saying, why aren't pickles ever written on the jars for pickles? The word. It's all these FDA rules. They're trying to lie to us, blah, 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 blah. So it's very much over sensationalizing topics. And that, as you said, is something that we already covered, I think, with your topic of social media is fucked.
Yep.
Beating a dead horse by re-explaining it, but yeah.
I don't think it was beat. I'm glad you spoke about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the topic itself, not to discredit you, but I mean, gate sounds so fucking stupid. just to think about people who even participate in that, where they're calling it by this. And I mean, there can also be an argument that like if someone brings that up in like a conversation and you ask like, oh, what's this about? Most of them will just be like, oh, you can search it up, like do your own research for it, which is its own argument, which I don't know if I want to get too much into the fact that like people like to not withhold information, but when they use a term and you have to like fish to find like the definition for it or the reason why it's being used like that, it's so fucking stupid and annoying. And you know, I mean, they're probably like quote unquote gating information, which is funny, but I don't know, like that whole thing that people do. And I'm pretty sure you can go on TikTok now, find certain videos where they're just making these fucking stupid ass words. And then, you know, someone in the comments like, oh, what does that mean? Oh, I don't know. Your own research.
And then the search is always like, what does this mean? And then every single video doesn't explain it.
Or the video will have like the thumbnail like saying like, what does this mean? Or this means, and then they'll take like 30 minutes to do their fucking intro, and then they'll finally explain it, which is like a 5-minute explanation. Or like a 1-minute explanation. It's very quick and to the point, at least once they get to it.
With regards to that, something that really, I don't know how I'm so out of the loop on it, but just the very quick turnover of a phrase, I suppose, that's like catchy. I don't know. My boss actually said a few weeks ago to me that something sounded gas, and I did not know what that meant.
Oh, that's an old term.
And I thought he said ass. So I was like, wow, that hurts my feelings. You're saying something I'm recommending sounds ass. And then later he was like, no, I said gas. And I was like, oh, okay, haha. And then I had to ask somebody what that meant.
I mean, I don't think gas
really
is such an old term. Yeah, I don't think gas is an old
It's
term.
like 2019, 2018.
But people just come up with these words. I feel as though every few weeks there's new terminology that I am totally unaware of, that I don't know if I'm just super behind. I'm finding out about it 2 years late, but it's wild how quickly people come up with slang and then how quickly it becomes irrelevant.
Yeah, one of my friends, it's funny because they said they don't do social media or anything. They actually get their social media from me because I learn stuff, I say it, and then they get the trends based on what I say.
Can
I
you
found
tell
that
me
weird.
the trends?
Honestly don't even know what he meant because most of my trends I also get from Pringle.
No way.
Like all this stuff that I don't know his trends because he has more I guess like I don't know how to say this. I guess like racial trends. Which I can't say.
Oh, interesting.
That girl Macy heard her laughing in the background.
I know, right? That is so.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm teasing you. But no, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we'll end it at racial at us.
So that's what we're gonna do. Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't have anything else I want to say, at least on the gate topic. I mean, again, I don't really know like anything with the word gate, if that's something that people are doing to, I don't know, to categorize something. That's the word they're using. It's fucking stupid. Are you on TikTok right now?
I got sent something.
This boy. Oh,
Are you
God.
watching the Cakegate TikTok that I sent pertaining to the podcast?
Fuck
I'm
no.
not gonna lie to you, Macy. I don't even want to know about it.
Buddy isn't even paying
I
attention.
already explained it. It's okay. You just get to see the disgusting looking cake.
Today I had one of the worst client experiences I've ever had since opening the storefront. This customer reached out to us via our Facebook page and wanted to order one of our 6-layer signature rainbow cakes. I started doing these even as a home baker, so I've been making them for a really long time.
What the fuck?
Are we done?
All right, cool. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up since we're all sitting silently.
Well, I'm looking at the.
Are we gonna
fucking
go to
TikTok
intermission
you sent.
or?
I don't think there's anything to talk about even like.
Yeah, we've pretty much covered our personal lives.
Long ass episode.
Well, it's
Talked
not-
about David's love
not
life.
our
Talked about
longest
other
one.
David's love life.
Well, I don't know if that was
Cool.
in this episode. I think it was in the other timeline.
Yeah, I think we may have mentioned it briefly, but
Maybe. I can't even remember what we mentioned. I'm not gonna lie to you.
yeah, me either. Well, I'm going to say we don't need an intermission today. So thank you so much for listening to us basically rant on totally random things and follow somewhat of a train of thought, hopefully. And this has been the Med Podcast, episode number 7. Y'all have a phenomenal rest of your day. Be safe. We'll see you next week. And yeah, thanks for watching.